Hey guys, welcome to Astrology Experts. This video is brought to you by you, of course. You're the reason why we're doing this. We know that relationships can be super complex, so let's check on the stars for guidance. Get your coffee and tea ready, and let's get on with the video. Initially, Cancer may be charmed by Sagittarius's grand romantic gestures. Seizing the day, the archer may aim his bow at the brightest star in the velvet sky and bring it down for Cancer. Sag does this with a kind of charisma and finesse few other signs could pull off. However, once they start getting to know each other, their differences become glaringly apparent. Emotions and values. It's likely that Sagittarius's grand romantic gestures are lighthearted, at least in the beginning. Nothing about Cancer suggests that he or she is an emotional lightweight if one is looking closely enough. The trouble is, Sag is probably not paying enough attention to see the faint mist of tears in Cancer's eyes when she holds the star in her hands. To Cancer, who values emotional security above everything except love, romance implies commitment. Cancer lives inside the depth of her emotions. Jupiter's rulership makes Sagittarius an expansive soul who's always looking to arrive on new frontiers, explore new philosophies, and have new experiences. If you Google the term free spirit, you'll find a picture of a Sagittarius. Okay, you won't, but it really should be the case. Jupiter's rulership endows Sagittarian of both sexes with larger-than-life personalities who value freedom above almost all else. However, Sagittarians are so warm-hearted, kind, and charitable that many Cancers fall for them, despite their very different emotional makeups. Compatibility rating 3 out of 10. Friendships. Sagittarius is infamous for bluntly conveying plain truths and prides himself on this. His candid commentary, arched with as much precision as a bow and arrow, pierces Cancer where it hurts. When this inevitably happens in Cancer-Sagittarius friendships, Cancer will feel much better if he or she understands that Sagittarius's intentions are usually good. Of course, there are always those people born under any sign whose intentions aren't inherently good, but we're talking about the typical gentle giant Sag personality. Sagittarians don't mean to hurt Cancer's feelings, they're just blatantly honest and not tuned into Cancer's deep emotional sensitivity. Sagittarius's worldview is philosophical and exists within the parameters of logic and reason. Cancer's outlook is often subjective and colored by her intense emotions. If a Cancer can get past Sagittarius's penchant for telling harsh truths, he or she will bask in the sunny warmth of the archer. Sagittarians are contagiously optimistic and adventurous, and their presence lightens the hearts of Cancers, who are predisposed to melancholy by feminine night forces and the waning of the moon, among other nuances of nature and humanity. Cancer relates to the world on an emotional level and Sag on a philosophical level. Cancer is moved by the passionate enthusiasm with which Sagittarius pursues his lofty ideals, setting his life on fire. The crab is also moved by Sagittarius's generous heart and the way he or she shares his good fortune. Even if you envy a Sag's stalwart faith in his own good luck, which seems to be a self-fulfilling prophecy, how could you hate such an untainted soul? Compatibility rating 5 out of 10. Relationships. The quality and longevity of this relationship depends largely on whether the crab is secure within himself. When Cancer's lives are eclipsed by fear, which can be the case in early youth into adulthood, their sharp pinch or grasp clings to the past. However, a Cancer who is secure in who he or she is can let Sagittarius in and learn from him. Initially, Sag may see Cancer as a puzzle to solve. If he plans on solving this particular mystery, he needs to make sure Cancer is more than a puzzle to him. Throwing a Cancer out of her shell until she reveals her emotional core is only a wise idea if Sag truly loves the crab. If not, his actions are the equivalent of gambling a human soul. Most Sagittarians are honest, straightforward people who would never do that intentionally and will heed this advice. Jupiter's expansion means Sag is a freedom-loving being, a bright star who burns through the night, shedding light and warmth on Cancer's world. However, Sag shouldn't become so outwardly focused that he forgets to nurture the intimacy that crackles in the fireplace at home, where Cancer is waiting with open arms and a home-cooked meal. Male Cancers often love to cook as much as the females do. Neglected Cancers retreat into their shells and experience long bouts of depression before they gather up the strength to find a more compatible partner. Also, let's not forget Cancer's cardinal leadership status, which manifests itself as possessiveness when insecure. Even without possessiveness, Cancer love is immersive. It goes as deep as love can go. A crab wants to feel as if an invisible cord connects him to his lover at the soul level. If they truly connect, Sagittarius might feel the same cord, but resist the pull of it a lot more than Cancer does. Compatibility rating 4 out of 10. Loving this video so far? Please hit subscribe and turn on your notifications so that you won't miss a video whenever we update. Marriage. If these two get married, it usually means they have accepted each other for who they are and prioritized their love. Or it means that they're delusional and loving blindly, which could be disastrous for both of them. But Cancer does bring out Sagittarius' huge heart, and Sagittarius is a bright spot in Cancer's world. Also, both Cancer and Sagittarius are intensely romantic. For Sagittarius, whose dreams are larger than life, Cancer represents a long-held dream. This is a dream of forever love that sweeps her off her feet and into the majesty of romance. In order to keep their fire alive for the years to come, they need to find some middle ground. This is not to say that either of them should compromise or give up who they are. In some cases, Cancers might take that martyred role. However, this is not without their resentment spilling over into every nook and cranny of Sagittarius' life. That's why it's important for Sagittarius to shower the crab with sincere compliments. Cushion her with emotional security and take her with him when he adventures into the unknown. In turn, Cancer would be wise not to make Sag's home feel like an anchor. If the crab gives his Sagittarian lover enough room to roam free, occupying all the physical, metaphorical, and philosophical places she must, the archer will always find her way home. Compatibility rating 4 out of 10. Communication. Clear, open communication is one of the keys to happiness for relationships between crabs and archers. As Sagittarians watch this, they're probably nodding their head in agreement. Sagittarians are generally honest people who pride themselves on their straightforwardness. Still, they shouldn't start patting themselves on the backs just yet. When it comes to these subtle nocturnal creatures, whose delicate moods wax and wane with the moon, Sagittarius needs to exercise sensitivity. That doesn't mean compromising or sugarcoating the truth. It just means that it's best to cushion it with warmth and affection if they want receptiveness. To effectively communicate with archers, crabs need to be more forthcoming, open, and honest about their feelings and everything else. Every crab needs space to deal with their moon-ruled ups and downs, and Sag has no problem giving people space. But when something is truly bothering Cancers, they need to speak up instead of retreating into a hard shell. Unlike Scorpios or perhaps Pisces, Sagittarians won't necessarily sense Cancer's moods. The fact is, Sag is usually a more distant lover than Cancer. Still, his warmth and huge heart make him rather like a teddy bear, which conjures childhood innocence to Cancer throughout their entire relationship. Compatibility rating 2 out of 10. Sex and intimacy. Cancer needs a lover who will float with her out to the sea, submerging himself in the endless depth of her love. Sagittarius may see Cancer's love as a journey he or she wants to take, but eventually surface from and go on his merry way. This doesn't necessarily mean Sag would leave his or her Cancer lover, but it might mean that their ideas of intimacy are different. Sagittarius' strong, fiery passions can make Cancer feel like a moth caught in a flame, which is exactly how Cancers want to feel. More often than not, the Archer may take a teaching role in sex, with Cancer as the willing student. Sagittarius is typically not the most subtle lover and may miss the mark with Cancer a few times before getting it right. Cancer is a creature of subtlety and wants every touch to mean something. Sex with a Cancer, male or female, is unpredictable, as the crab's mood fluctuates with the cycles of the moon. Sagittarians may be unsettled by this at times, but also see it as an exciting challenge. In many ways, Cancer is a mystery Sagittarius will never fully solve, and it's this very predicament that may addict him to her. Compatibility rating 3 out of 10. Cancer Sagittarius Compatibility Pros. Cancer fulfills Sagittarius's romantic ideals, which is no small feat. Sagittarius opens the world up to Cancer, who might be too internalized to fully explore the beauty of the outside world. Sag brings to life the wonders of the natural world, city life, and everything in between. Sagittarius's objectivity brings clarity to Cancer, whose perceptions are often colored by emotions. Cancer Sagittarius Compatibility Cons. Sag is freedom-loving. If Cancer gets too moody and possessive, Sagittarius's bright fire might be extinguished over a long period of time. Sagittarians can lack the kind of subtle, perceptive sensitivity Cancer needs in a lover or even close friendship. Cancer can be emotionally manipulative at times, and Sagittarius absolutely cannot tolerate this quality in others. Summary of Cancer and Sagittarius. Despite the differences, or perhaps because of their differences, relationships between Cancers and Sagittarians can yield tremendous growth. Cancer helps Sagittarius learn more about his own emotional depth, needs, and desires. In turn, extroverted Sagittarius opens new doors for Cancer. If the crab is open enough, they can explore new ways of living and thinking. Sagittarius always need to be exploring new ways of living and thinking. However, Sagittarius needs to build and nurture a home base where the roots of their love can grow. Only by growing intimacy and trust does Cancer open up to Sagittarius's new ideas and set off into the sunset with him. Overall compatibility, 3 out of 10.